Wall unboxing, and took the kids to Walmart to get school clothes today. Picked up 5 Hot Wheels. New for 2024. Was it Colon Hypervan? Colon. It's a Japanese bus. Then I also picked up, Keegan liked this, so I was like, okay. 70s Dodge Charger RT. It's for their art cars. It's pink. It's got like neon stuff. It says Dodge. Then I got a Laying Low Rider. I can see Cheech Martin from Cheech and Chong driving this. Then I got another new for 2024 Pontiac Aztek Custom. And then a Formula E Gen 3 new for 2020 for race day. Formula 1 racer, looks like. And another puzzle to my puzzle collection. Spider-Man and the Sinister Six, so there's that. Then I got home. Let's start off with this. Oh. Smith shirt. The world won't listen. Well, Lexi will be happy. She'll have another shirt when she comes here today. Now, let me just open this. Oh, where's my handy dandy X-Acto knife set? Which, this is funny because I got these just to put in vehicles. I can just manage to get them a little loose. All I did was get 2 X-Wing fighter pilots. Luke Skywalker X-Wing fighter pilots. I needed 2 for a snow speeder, so that's that. And I actually ordered another one for the gray X-Wing fighter that I'm restoring. Now let me see what this is. This is the guy I wanted. I bought comic books from a seller on eBay, and I had stuff that I was still had bids on that was like 4 or 5 days down the road. And I sent the guy saying, "Listen, I want to save the shipping." I told him not to ship these yet because I had a bunch of books yet that were still ending. Well, I paid for these. I figured he'd just take it. No, he shipped them out, so I have to pay double shipping. I probably won't buy from him again because he doesn't understand English. to me, when communicating with somebody and the person like doesn't follow, and I even, I even told him. He said, "Oh, it was no problem." I just didn't want him waiting for. And of course, no tabs, as usual, on top of that. I got the Fantastic Four wedding special with She-Hulk on the cover. You see, I bought the lot. I bought books for this lot, which had the Shadow #2. I was bidding on a Shadow #1 off of Dan, which I didn't win. I got the Shadow #6, #7, and #9. Now this is all garbage. One more box to open and I'm done. This will be another thing I should be smiling over, because when I was a kid I always wanted, and the guy sends me in this special Funko box. It's not a Funko. It shouldn't be a Funko. I didn't buy a Funko off this guy. I did buy a figure off this guy. Ow, what the hell? Oh, my plate? Yeah, my blade came out. That's what cut me. Eh. Okay. That better. And this is what I got. What? Yeah, I have to find a couple more. Let me see if there's any loose laying around here, because there should have been. I am going to have to order some cartridges to finish off his bandolier. So let's see, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, yeah, 5 missing, and I have to get his gun. But I got the for the 12-inch set from '78. I got a Chewbacca. So yeah, his legs are a little bit on the wobbly side, but let's see if he'll stand up. Yeah, he'll stand up. Just have to put his arm forward, I guess. Yeah, I do. So that'll be a good thing, because he'll go with Darth Vader, the Stormtrooper, and R2-D2. And now that I know I need five of these bad boys, I'll get them and put them on. But now I got Chewie! So, one more added to the collection of 12-inch figures. Today I was actually looking at a 12-inch Ben Kenobi. Because I went and with the money, some of the money I sold from my sale of my comic books today, I got paid for a lot of them already. So I went yesterday and I printed all the packing slips, which I have to order ink cartridges bad, because my black toner is like, I was taking it out every so often, going like this, shake, 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 putting it back in. And because I ordered the wrong size cartridge that came 3 days ago. So I had to send that back. Had to drop that off at Staples. And I ordered another one, but that other new ones won't be in until Monday. But I'm still waiting for payment from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, about maybe like 12 people yet. And a couple of them owe me quite a lot of money. But this thing about it, it's like, oh yes, I charge a guy $30. He bought $20 to ship a flat rate, a little bit over a flat rate box. I think it's like $15 and some cents now for a flat rate box. And still, when you get money via PayPal goods and services, they take a percentage still. So they take, like, I forgot how much, $1.25, $1.50, depends on how much it is. Because I remember the one guy bought 3 comics off me for $1.50, and after he sent me the money, I forgot what it was, but they took money on $1.50. I was like, wow, it all adds up fast. It's like crazy. But I have all the ones who paid me, all their packages were out. I think today I dropped off something like 14 packages at the post office. The guy was just like, I'm like, well, yeah, this is going to probably happen once a year. I'm just going to have it, go through all my boxes once a year, go through all that. Once I get the garage all squared away, I'll go through all my toys and all my card. I did the card sets, not sports wise. That's what I think I'm just going to do. But with that, I went on between my comic shop and Cyberspace Comics. I finished, when they'll come in, I finished America's Got Powers. I finished American Century. The Savage Hawkman. Oh, Jesus, I'm trying to, I was like, I just kept going. It was like, okay, boom, add it. I know I finished at least 4 series. Because with the last one, my last video that you saw, I finished Aster and House of Mystery Volume 2. So that was a good thing. I just, I'm just deciding, trying to just plug away at getting all these other ones I have started. Because a lot of them I'm down and needing 1 or 2 issues. Some of them like 5 for like some of the bigger runs. Some I need like 5 issues. And it's like, let me just get them out of the way. I still have to shoot an Action Comics video. Aster. I can't remember. I have to go upstairs and actually look. And then I decided a lot of the ones I just need trade paperbacks. I'm not even going to bother, waiting to get a trade paperback. I'm just, because I have a ton of Alien series finished. Like I have the 4 issue, but I don't have the trade or the hardcover. So I was like, I was thinking about, I want my channel to be like comprehensive. Like, you get to see like every version of it. But it ain't going to happen the way I want it to. Because like I said, I want a museum eventually where people can see like everything. See like how this 12-inch, how this stacked up with a 1970s 12-inch Chewbacca. Which I have that in the box, but when I was a kid, I didn't have these. I remember when I think I told you the story about when I lived overseas. We had John and Jimmy Carew, and they had a bunch of these. And we were swapping them painted Army Men, which is funny because I just came across somebody had on Facebook, it came up where they were selling anime figures for like $9.99, and I just decided they had model kits. So I was going through all the and they still make the same figures. The German infantry, the Afrika Korps, British guys with the netted hats. I forgot even what they were called. Because my brother they came in boxes, like model boxes, because they were actually in the model section. He bought them overseas. Like I painted, me and him painted the German infantry, the Afrika Korps. He had, I don't know if it was English command. That was probably the English commandos. He had Green Berets. he had like 5 or 6 different sets, and there were 12 to 15 figures in a set, and we painted them all, and they were nice, but we originally traded them for, and then my mom didn't think that was fair, and I'm like, Mom, do you know how much time it took me and my brother to paint all these figures? And my mom didn't care, so we had to give them back. So I was like, eh. But now I got one more. And the sad thing is, he'll be complete by the end of the year. Because getting the clips for his bandolier, you know, is good. And I found a guy who has his gun, so I think I paid $50. Like, you go on eBay, like I said, every one of these figures complete is at least over 100 and a quarter to 150. Some of them people want 210. Some of them in the box. I mean, I don't know where these people come up with these prices. They're just like, oh, wait a minute. Hold on. $3,000. They pull it right out of the air. You know, it's like, hey. You know, and it sits there for, it's just like with comic books. They do that. I'm going to go like here and go, ooh, here's 10 grand. Do they get it? No, but they'll sit there and they'll have it. They'll just keep it that way until some schmuck comes down. Oh, 10 grand here. $50 was fine, and I can get, like I said, I can get the clips. People, like, they're another thing that people are nuts. One guy's got 2 clips for $20, $10 a clip. I'm like, I think there's 16 of them that go on this bandolier. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, 16 of them that go on this bandolier. $160 for clips for this bandolier. And you have to actually put one on the gun. So technically, you got 17. Now, if they're worth $10 a clip and you need 17 of them, well, you can understand why people want over $100 and some for a complete Chewbacca. Because you could piece them out and make probably more, because that's just the clip. The satchel alone, 20. The gun's freaking ridiculous. Because most of the guys who are selling the gun, just the gun, you don't get the bow cast part. And they want 50 for the gun. You're lucky every once in a while, like, I'll have the guy with the bow cast and he wants 50. So I'm looking at, you know, by the time I put it done, I'll probably have 120 into this guy, which is still $30 less than the cheapest one on eBay when it's complete. So I was like, okay, I saved $30. It's just like, I got the Stormtroopers. I had, you know, I paid $125 for one when I got 2. And I already, right now, I got for the 2 of them after I bought their guns. All I have to do is put them in a vat of hydrogen peroxide and put my UV lights on them. They'll whiten right up. And they're complete. All I have to do is find sort of like a nylon cord, and I actually have some of them in a sewing kit. All I have to do is put it on as a bolster, because I actually have the same nylon string somewhere. So I'll have 2 of them for less than what I would have paid for one. My C-3PO is complete. My Darth Vader is complete. My Boba Fett, I'm still trying to find a missile. I need the missile for his backpack, and that's it. So I don't know which figure I'm going to buy next. Do I buy Han Solo to match Chewbacca? Do I buy R2-D2 to go with my C-3PO? I'd rather buy R2-D2 to go with my C-3PO, because I always liked, because when I was a kid, the first ever 2 Star Wars figures I ever got were R2-D2 and C-3PO. Bought at Kmart in Bernie Plaza. I'll never forget that as long as I live. And my buddy Al thinks it's hilarious. I can remember like where stuff was, when I got it. There's very few stuff. Now, one thing that bothers me is I'm missing my die-cast Darth Vader TIE Fighter that my Aunt Annie and my Aunt Helen bought me at J.C. Penney's. And that meant something to me because that was the last toy my Aunt Annie bought me before she passed away. And I lost that when we moved back from Germany. That was one of the toys that disappeared. My Atari, a few Atari games, the die-cast, the die-cast X-Wing, the Battle Damage X-Wing, and the die-cast, it wasn't the die-cast, it was the plastic with the die-cast figure in it. I think it was the micro universe, whatever they called it. It was one of the last things, which I ended up getting for free. I got the X-Wing fighter back. A lady had them in Danville. She had, just free. And I called her. She said, they'll be on my back porch. She gave me directions. I went, I picked it up. I ended up getting 3 of the 4 Hoth sets and the full Bespin set, only missing a couple metal figures. And I got the X-Wing fighter back. I still need the 1 ion cannon. And I'll have the whole 4-part Hoth, and I just have to figure out what metal figures I need. For that whole thing, I need the Death Star yet, the Snow Speeder, the Millennium Falcon, which I never had them, but I did have the TIE Fighter and X-Wing, which I got the X-Wing back for free. The TIE Fighter, though, disappeared. And I had a Darth Vader TIE Fighter from the original die-cast series with the little pull-out Darth Vader, and the wings just pulled right off. That disappeared. And then I had a lot of loose stuff for gas mask, backpacks, put the boat, that stuff disappeared on me. And I always look at God takes care of things that happen. Yes, I ended up getting my TIE Fighter, my X-Wing fighter back. One day I might get my TIE Fighter back somehow. God's been good to me, and a lot of my family and friends. Like my best friend Lou gave me a lot of toys from when he was a kid. He said, "Too bad I didn't know him before he started selling the stuff." Brian Galeski gave me his He-Man, and I look at it this way: a lot of my friends know what I want to do with this stuff. And I love, like I said, I would love to have a museum. I would love to turn my entire house into I saw that superhero museum. I used to sit there and say, you got everything just thrown together. You have Batman, but then you have 1920 stuff mixed in with 1980 stuff, and there's no rhyme or reason. If I was going to set up, say, a museum, I would have shelves and glass enclosed shelves, and I would probably have, let me just grab a book here just for presentation's sake, something that's good. Okay, just grab this one, Conan. Now I would probably have them going by year on level, going through a section behind, put shelves in the back base with a cut thing, and just have them bagged and boarded and just sit there where you can see the cover and the year, and have them go by year. And of course, when you get to a certain year, you start getting the Mego figures of Conan. Now, between say I'm doing the year 1974. I think that's one of the years that the Mego had Conan. Well, somewhere along the 1974 year of this comic, the Conan comic, you'd put the Mego figure. If you had them in the box, you put it. Or say if you had one in the box and one loose. Well, one here, and then one on this side of them. And then you go like that. And then, so say this is 74, and then 75, and 76. And as it goes, you do that. Now, I think that's a beautiful way to display how the character changed in the art in the comic book. And then what toy things came out for it. Or collectibles. Batman, you can go back, long time. It's like the 70s, god darn cat, quit scratching. So my bed is a scratching post. But, you know, that's what I would love to do. I would love to have it like that. Because I still see this guy's got the museum. He's still no rhyme or reason, just thrown. You know, Batman, boom, there's Batman comics, there's a couple toys. It's like, you know, evolution, the guy, boom. Now, like with toy lines, superpowers, that's one whole, that'd be its own section. Same thing with, like, I was thinking with the Mego, but nah, I'm like, nah, because Mego made different sizes and that, so it's actually hard to go with Mego. With a toy line there, like, I would put the superheroes in with the superheroes that they belong with. Lines like Star Trek, Star Trek would go with Star Trek, Planet of the Apes would go with Planet of the Apes stuff, because that would be on Planet of the Apes. Boom, there's the Planet of the Apes board game, the Planet of the Apes, you know, figures. I would love this one guy who the first show we went to, me and Lou, he took me to. There was actually this guy. He had a huge collection. I'd never have as much as he had stuff from the movies, and I'm like, if I ever, you know, if somebody ever donate, say my museum idea takes off, and people actually start donating stuff to me, that's when I would say, okay, that's when that stuff would be put out as donations. That'd be everybody say. I would love, like I said, to have the thing just keep growing, and just like outlive me, outlive my family, and just keep going. You know, keep it as its own entity where nobody can take control or own it. It stays its own. What do they call it? What the goddamn baseball and football are, nonprofit organization. I just want it to keep so it's able to keep growing by itself and not become a juggernaut when it comes to making money. I just want it to stay like, you know, it's just, you know, put the stuff away. It pays for itself and grows. That's what I would love, because there's too many. It's all about money. Cooperstown, you know, Canton. The worst is the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. They're, you know, I mean, a lot of crap that they do, the Rush, Kiss, some major bands that you'd say their name and everybody knows them, are not even in it. And it's called the Rock and like I said, one video years ago, it should be called the Music Hall of Fame, because there's R&B bands, there's blues bands. You know, to call yourself the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame and then have blues music, and that to me is, rock and roll is its own thing. The Music Hall of Fame, you know, that encompasses all. But see, that's me, rich people got together and we decided that we pull our money and we're going to be snobs. You know, because there's a lot of people that get upset with them, and I don't really blame them. You know, a lot of artists, I mean, how can you induct the Eagles and then every member who actually, some people actually come, like Don Felder and all these other guys, how can you not induct them? Because at one point they were part of the Eagles. I just look at it this way. If they contributed something for the birth of that band to be in there, they should be in there. I mean, saying that Kiss is, you know, Gene Simmons and Paul Stanley and Eric Singer, and you don't consider Ace Frehley and Peter Criss members of Kiss, I'm like, you know, that's just wrong. That's just wrong in so many ways. Because if you didn't have Peter Criss singing Beth, you know, or Ace Frehley, you know, the Spaceman, you know, the sad thing is, I have the 4 Kiss solo albums, and New York Groove, Rip It Out. I mean, I like listening to Aces, so more more than Paul Stanley. You know, I'm gonna croon about this, and I'm like, oh yeah, man, whatever, Star Child. Uh, I look at it this way: you had them as them for years, then you fired them, you brought them back, and now it's considered, oh, they're not good enough. I was just like, okay, whatever. I lost so much respect for Gene Simmons and Paul Stanley over the years that I don't think we won't give a crap if I respect them or not, you know, or it's just that. I mean, trying to trademark stuff that's been out there for years, like the end. Oh, it's the end of the road. I mean, there's some things. I mean, get real. So that if I sit there and say, oh, it's, you know, this is my last, it's the end of the road for me. What? And then I get tagged because I said it. It's a saying that's been out for decades. You know, if that was the case, well, I'm going to copyright the word "the." So anybody who says "the" have to pay me a percentage. Wow, guess what? I'd be a millionaire, probably a billionaire within a year. There's got to be some kind of rationale and something that says, listen. Same thing with this whole, you know, I really think artists should get to keep certain royalties for a certain period of time. I don't think it should become public domain to a point. Like, all these guys buying, say, like the Beatles anthology, or their things. Well, why is it that a lot of songs become public domain and we still don't pay? That some of these guys, they're done, they're dead, but their works. It's because they never got kicked back or paid somebody off so that they could constantly keep getting. A lot of the Beatles songs, 50 years, right? They should be able to make money for 50 years. If they can't save money and invest for retirement, which Paul McCartney, I don't think needs a dime to his name, doesn't need a single dime yet. He could probably live off just what he has in the bank for the rest of his life. It should be public domain. It's crazy because why are you letting, you know, people's grandkids, the guy's dead and their grandkids are collecting royalties? It shouldn't be that way. First of all, what did that kid contribute to that song? Nothing. Nothing. It's like if my dad did something, that's my dad. My dad did it, not me. The only way I can see if I would earn something from, you know, like that way is if I help my dad do it. And a lot of them weren't even around. So therefore, that's my opinion on it, about rights and that. The person's dead, gone. It becomes public domain. Because this whole stuff about record companies, you know, buying up the rights, there'd be no fighting over the rights about all this stuff. And you'd see a big difference in the music industry, pretty much every industry. Because it's basically, it's greed run amok. Do you think Al Jolson's family gets a dime from his money? Or, oh, look at Strauss, Chopin, Tchaikovsky. They're all dead, you know, hundreds of years, right? But by rights, if the way you know talking about it, their family generations should get something. No, not really. Public domain. Why do you think so many people has done the Three Musketeers? Because it's a public domain. I can sit here and write a Three Musketeers script and star in it myself, right? And be fine. Because the Three Musketeers is public domain. Just like now, Disney's like, oh, pick it. Walt Disney's dead. Long time. If his family's crying poverty, then I must be a real king. And I'm not. It's funny because they were brought up. Like, I watched good old Charlie Hustle, Pete Rose's story, and that was actually supposed to be a bad moniker for him. Like, my friends made fun of me, called me King Joe because they thought it was freaking funny, and it was like, King Joe. Because all the stuff, I was like that. I had stuff like piled everywhere, and I just decided, screw you. I'm gonna stick with it. It doesn't bother me one bit. To this day, it still don't bother me that I got the name King Joe. I wore it as a badge of honor, just like Pete Rose, used Charlie Hustle. I would love, like I said, non-profit. Let it, it expand. But one, here's the main things I would think that would bother. I would do if I had the opportunity to do it. All kids get in free. If you're under the age of 13, actually 12 and under. 13, you officially become a teenager. But 12 and under, you're a kid yet. Now, you get in free to the museum, and you get to see. Because once you hit the teens, you start having, your hormones. You basically start thinking about other things than what you do when you're a kid. Now, I would love for like everybody to be able to, come in here. And I would like interactive stuff. Like I was thinking the amount of TV, if that show had a cartoon series, somehow get copies of the cartoon series, play them there. Because I would love like that type of experience. I went to the Museum of the Moving Image back when I was in college with my college professor, Dr. Mosley. And it's funny because we were his first class. Me and Lou were and Jay Russa, who we've been trying to find for like years. What are those god darn cats doing in the pantry? Me and Jay Russa and Lou had a thing with our doc, and we were in his first Com 120, and Mose comes in. Now his name is Mosley. I just called him Mose. Now, any of you guys know, Mose was the old guy that sat in the rocking chair in the Searchers and goes, I want my rocking chair. I want my rocking chair. Yeah, he was attacked by Indians. But Dr. Mosley, I always considered me one of the most opinionated persons and students he ever had. I was always engaging him, especially when it came to movies. I loved movies. And he was amazed at, because I lived in Germany, how many movies I had and how many movies I watched. He was like really shocked. I said, well, we had nothing better to do. I had no AFN. There was no Armed Forces Network. I was on the Academy. I wasn't on base. And then finally, for at least the first 2-3 years, I had an Atari 2600 and a Panasonic VHS recorder. And I wish to God my VHS recorder I still had. But that went the way of the dodo a couple years ago. And that thing was hilarious because I used to put a figure on it and I would hit the eject button. And I swear to God, that figure would go flying. That pop right up and he go. But it was just a thing, Mose. Me and Lou found out. Well, Lou found out he was retiring from Penn State, the Worthington campus. So Lou got in touch with him, and the sad thing is, I changed a lot over the years. Like back then, I had hair. I was a lot skinnier, and I used to attend there part time, and I would see Mose and I'd say, "Hey, what's up?" And he didn't even know who I was. And actually, last time I saw him, and he goes, he goes, now that I see, he goes, I saw you a couple of times. He goes, yeah, Louis. I used to say hello to you, and you just look at me like, what? And he's like, well, he goes, if you stopped and talked to me, I would have remembered you. And I was telling him, like I said, yeah, I graduated from VHS now to DVD and Blu-ray. I said, I ended up working for a record manufacturer. I worked for Warner Electra and Atlantic, WEA. And I said I almost did that for almost 5 years. I attended. He ended up getting shifted to where he was teaching like a theater class, and it was funny because this theater class he had like 6 students in it, and I sat there and I told we went to the play that they were watching. They were actually watching a movie play where they actually shot the play as a movie. So it was about something about being I can't even something about being earnest. I can't remember, but Mose was talking this and couldn't get nothing out of these guys. So I sat there and I started to interject stuff. I said, the one thing about I said, my Mose, can I say something? I said, being a part of your film students, I said, the one thing that you lose a lot of from theater to movies is in a theater, unless you have binoculars, you can't see the actors real well. You can hear their inflection stuff, but I said you can't see facial expressions like when you're doing the play, right? The butler, his facial expressions actually sent you more data how he felt about the character he was talking to. And I even said, there's a lot of stuff that, you see a play's great, but when you see a movie that shows in their body language, facial expressions, I go, that adds more to the character. And actually, I think Mose liked having me his last day of class because I even said to him, I said, man, if you had these guys in when me and Lou were, I said, I would have crucified them. And he laughed at that one. Because I actually put a couple of the kids that were in our class, I drove them nuts. Because I don't know if I ever told, I think I did tell this story. This one girl, Bonnie, she was in a couple of our classes, and the one kid that sat next to her told me a story. And I remember on our Com 250 class, I asked her how John was. Now, John was our history professor. To find out that John asked Bonnie out. Of course, she told him no, and she ended up getting a B instead of an A. And I was like, and she, how do you find out about? She's screaming in class. And I'm like, what is your problem? You broke John's heart, and now you're flipping out on me. And the kid who told me is sinking down in his seat. I'm like, you're a dumbass. She's going to know you told me. She turned and looked at him and he goes, you told him, of all the people in the class to tell you told him. And I'm like, don't blame him. Blame John. If John never asked you out, you would have never told him no. You would have never got the B and you never complained to anybody. But that was just like one of the funny things I used to do. Because I got into a lot of debates. Like, I did not want to see Kiss of the Spider Woman, neither did Lou. So we boycotted that movie because of the whole homosexual thing in prison. And I was like, no, I don't want to see that. I don't ever want it. Sad thing is, I ended up working in a prison, and some of the stuff I seen in there. Oh God. I sort of like transgressed there for a second. I was like, okay. But if you ever get a chance, Johnny Guitar. It's not a male lead. The whole thing, Johnny Guitar, is a nice smoke screen. Johnny Guitar is actually the damsel in distress. It's a really good movie. Uh, of course, we saw Citizen Kane. That's all time classic. It'll never. I don't think if you have to rank one of the greatest movies in the top 10, if Citizen Kane ain't in that list every time, there's got to be something wrong. Because that is a very well directed, well edited, great story, and it's sort of based on fact. The whole movie was based, on what was it? What was the name of the company? The newspaper tycoon guy. Oh God, Hearst. I think that's who it was based on. But that was Orson Welles. Oh man, awesome. Of course, we watched Metropolis, Battleship Potemkin. That's the one thing too. Also, when I play World of Warships, as a tribute to my film class, I constantly keep looking and say, "Hey, where's the Battleship Potemkin?" I don't even know if that was a real battleship, but the movie was called Battleship Potemkin. And a part of that film was redone in The Untouchables with the baby carriage. It's just, I look at it, and trust me, I liked Dr. Mosley. To this day, I still have to read his book. I bought his book. He did a book about Ingmar Bergman, the director. And I bought a copy of it. I brought it to him. He signed it. And he said, how'd you find it? I said, it took me a while, but I ended up finding it. I said, I bought my copy on eBay. Lou didn't get his in at the time. And Lou ended up being late, but Lou got to see him, though. Lou didn't have anything because he couldn't get out of work. But at least I got to. So I was there for his first class and his last class. And all the teachers I had in college, Dr. Mose, was by far, I think, the one who had the most effect on me because I learned so much from his film class. To this day, I do not like new movies because of the fact that they're not, like I said, they're not a photograph projected. It's a digital image. And what I learned from Dr. Mosley is, each film that they put on a reel is basically its own thing because the audio could be off by just this much. It would have different pops and crackles. It's its own life. It's its own entity. I even like watching television. Like my friend Al is watching Leverage now. Now the sad thing is I couldn't remember that. And as I'm watching it, I'm like, yeah, I did see this series, but I decided since I started, I'm going to watch it again from first to back because I didn't remember half the episodes. And that's another problem because, see, television is a digital image. That's why I'm having a hard time. That's why everybody has a hard time unless you watch it over and over and over and over again. That's why you have a hard time retaining the data from a television show. Now, if you watched it, say, as a motion picture, if it was on film, you would actually remember more of that show or that movie. Because your brain, your eye, picks up more data on a stilled image than it does, it's stilled image, gone by a time. A digital image is constantly, so your eye can't process all that data in as fast. It's like, hey, stilled image, picture, boom, done. And it just keeps doing that. Your eye boom, 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 boom. But your eye processes these as you're getting the whole image at once, not lines of an image. Because I'll never forget when up at Montage Mountain, I don't even remember the name of the theater. I remember when they switched over to digital because it was, I think, during the movie Hop or something. It was like around that period of time where they switched over from film to digital. Because I know when I went to see the movie Rango, they had a problem with the hard drive. And they ended up giving me tickets to go to see another film. They gave me vouchers. And I even said, I forgot who I said it to, but I'm like, tell you the truth, I couldn't remember much of that film at all. And to find out that was the first movie that they got as a hard drive on the projection. And I was like, okay. And then I was talking to my buddy Lou, because my buddy Lou really got into, deep diving into this whole stuff. I mean, he told me how much it would cost them. I think it was like 10 grand for one film, to produce one film for one movie. One, like a reel. Where it only cost them not even $1,000 for a hard drive. So it cost 1/10 of the percentage to do a film. That's more money in their pocket. And you want to know something? Did they take any money off to save me or you money when you go to the films? You pay more. So they get a bigger cut. And on top of that, guess what? All the movie centers had to switch over to different film projectors. So they had to get loans. So that's another reason why when you go to the movies, you're paying off their loans for them. All those projectors that were sitting in all these theaters were pretty much bought and paid for already. Oh, now these new theaters, these, and trust me, they weren't cheap. So, yeah. And I'm sure eventually it's just going to keep getting worse. I used to always say that, if I wanted, to watch, especially the episode 7 of Star Wars. When I took the kids there, I was like, I got so upset at myself that I paid the money to go watch that film, The Force Awakens. I took my daughter. I think I took Amber too. And when I got home, I was like, first off, poor Chewie had to watch Han die. And I was like, he died in a way that was not befitting a hero. I'm sorry, but it wasn't. I'd rather have Han Solo go out on a blunt gunfire, sort of like Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid. Have him sitting there on the thing, the scaffold thing, where the thing is fighting, sort of like Luke did in the end of Empire Strikes Back. Instead of like falling and getting saved, just have Han fall to get shot a bunch of times, riddled with friggin' laser holes, and fall to his death. His death. Okay, I'm starting to talk like Dick Dastardly. But you gave the cat's dog food. I mean, you gave the dad. You gave the. Okay, you gave the dad. I hate to see you give the wrong animal the wrong food. Now, as you know, we're having, this is my granddaughter, Gianna. We took her clothes shopping this morning.
Same thing with my brother.
Yeah. I can't wait till they start school. Maybe I will get stuff done. But, I started rambling on. This simple video ended up becoming a hell of a lot longer. But that's how I am. I mean, I go off on tangents, and I'll go off on the same tangent a million times. I beat a dead horse. Boom, 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 boom. I just miss the old days. Is more than why I say it. Like, I look at stuff back then. It's like, people go, we were not better off. Like, why? People understood, segregation was wrong, and then in the 70s, people kept striving. I feel the way it is now, instead of striving to put us together, more and more people are striving to tear everybody apart. I mean, to constantly push what 1% wants and not what basically the majority want is wrong. I look at it this way. You guys want to get married? Fine. Go to a church, they'll marry you. Like, I didn't get married in my church. I ended up going to the courthouse, filed paperwork, ended up having a judge. I had right in front of the judge, came down off the thing, married me and my wife, my mom, my dad, my godson was there, my friend Anthony, then a couple of my wife's friends, and that's it. Boom, done. Me and my wife were married. All because somebody does not want you to get married. Well, then you know what? Maybe switch churches. I try not to impose my values on other people. It seems like other people want to impose their values on me. I'm constantly seeing, like, I don't like the KKK. I don't endorse the KKK. I don't endorse the Black Panthers because to me, I disgust the Reverend Al Sharpton. The man, as far as I'm concerned, is a piece of human garbage. I think he does more to hurt racial, to stress racial tensions than he does to try to calm them down. I mean, you're giving him money, raising money, and the man's walking around and he ain't wearing a seersucker. I mean, the suits I'd be like, to me, a reverend, a pastor, as Jesus did, you live humbly. Well, walking around with a $500,000 suit, driving, expensive cars, that's not walking around humbly. Like I used to tell my priest, my pastor at the one time Laughing Boy, Dr. Zajac, he drove a Cadillac. And I used to tell him, I said, well, this is back before I really got new stuff. This is when I was a kid. And everybody used to say a Cadillac was a rich man's car. And I used to say, well, Father, I thought priests were supposed to be, not worried about material things. I said, you drive around in a rich man's car. I think I was like 7 or 8 when I said that to him. To this day, people go, well, why didn't you buy this car and that? I'm like, why? Why should I waste more money? I go, the whole point of a vehicle. Most people buy a vehicle because they have no other choice. They have to work. They have to eat, so they have to go grocery shopping. A vehicle has to suit what needs you have. A vehicle to travel me to point A to point B. Boom. Like my first car that I ever bought was a Pontiac Sunfire. I made sure it was a 4-door. I did not like 2-door vehicles. I used to take my mom shopping. I used to get my godson on weekends. So I didn't want a 2-door. I wanted a 4-door. I wanted something easy so I can put a car seat in the back and get him. I wanted a car that looked nice because I think I was 25. Actually, I think I was 30 when I bought that car. Because my mom and my dad let me drive their cars until God. But I got the car because decent gas mileage, good, it fit what I needed money-wise for bills to pay. And it fit all the criteria I needed. Decent trunk space. I was able to, put them in the back seat. My mom had no problem getting in and out of the car. Of course, when I hurt my back, I could not use that car because I could not, with the way the car set, I couldn't drive it. I ended up having pain radiating down my leg. In fact, I ended up swapping that car for my dad's Bonneville, and even that car was bad for me. It was funny because that's what I traded in for my van. It was my dad's Bonneville, because my dad swapped me out for the Bonneville for my Pontiac Sunfire. And What are you doing, Hocus? Your hair
Keep
burned.
having these black things crawling me. They're
Yeah,
weird black things.
I got a bug. I got a flea bomb my house. Because one of the cats got outside and came back and you have a flea collar on. So now I got fleas in my house. Oh, I got enough bombs. It's just that I gotta get a weekend that I gotta pull the ferrets out of the one room, the rabbit. Probably gonna take them all in the garage, put them all in the garage, and then I'm gonna bomb the whole house, except for the garage. But then it's got to be a day that I have 8 hours free, because it's got to sit here for 8 hours. But I did put 3 of the kittens up on Facebook to see if anybody wanted them. Yes, I did put this one up. I put two of the 3 black cats. I did put Hocus and Pocus up, and I put Tilly, which is the gray and black mixed one.
The one that looks like Lainey.
We're keeping Midnight, which that was the name my wife wanted. I named them Midnight, but then since I named the other 2 Hocus Pocus, I want to name Midnight Presto. But no, she was like, no. So I'm like, okay, he's Midnight. Out of all of them, Tilly's the worst when it comes to being friendly. The friendliest one out of them, my daughter took. My daughter took Peanut. In fact, we were just at my daughter's house. And Peanut was all over me, kissing me.
Peanut was rubbing in my face last time.
That cat
Lexi's house.
is the most loving and affectionate cat I ever met in my entire life. In fact, every animal that's at my daughter's house. Her dog Luna.
Luna's
what is Luna? A black lab.
And she's a girl.
Yeah, well, yeah. It was like I'll gotta lick kiss me until she calms down. And people, she took Peanut, and she took Callie, which was her cat when she lived here. Now, it's sad because my Middies was the cat I loved. I loved Middies more than. It was the only cat I could say I really, really admired and loved. When I lost that cat, my wife knew I loved that cat because when he got sick, I took care of him. I mean, I actually went down, laid mats all over the pantry floor, put a bowl of water, dish of food out for him, made sure I closed it, went down 3 times a day, went and fed him his antibiotics. And then when he died, I didn't want to go take him to my wife had, because after I lost my Dexter, I'm like, I don't want to be in the room when an animal I love dies again, because I swear to God, I thought I was end up in the hospital like I did when my mom died. I said, I do not know how people who have pets can handle that all the time. When you're with a person, most people live an average of 70 years, You lose your mom, you lose your dad. Pets don't live that long, and you love them. They're like a family member. Then all of a sudden, it's like you lose them, and it's like, ugh. Because when I start talking, like I'll probably start tearing up now because Dexter, that dog was with me through a lot of crap. He was a pain in the ass, but I did love him. Middies was the best goddamn cat I ever, and my wife knew I had to love him because of all the crap I did for him towards the end. That cat had independent, some kind of cancer in the mouth that went up in his brain. And I said to my wife, I can't take him to the vet to get him put to sleep. I said, after losing Dexter, because when they euthanized Dexter, I hugged him and I was crying. And my wife said, Dexter crapped on you. I'm like, I don't care. And I even said to my wife now, I said, I don't want to have 3 dogs constantly. I said, Bettis is 12 years old. Bettis will be probably the next dog that goes. And I said, I love the old, the Tank. I mean, he's a big dog and he thinks he's a lap dog. I don't know how many times he squashed my gonads. I mean, he thinks he's a lap dog. He'll come boom.
And then we have Paco and Chico.
Yeah, and then we got Paco and Chico. I love my Cheeky, which I'm surprised he's on top of the steps looking down. because he won't up and down the steps. In fact, at night, if he doesn't find someplace to sleep, someone to sleep with, I end up taking him back. He sleeps with me. And that dog is a Schlecker. But he's my pork roll with legs.
It's a little bit being of legs.
Yeah, he's a big... When you see those pillow pets, when you lay him as a pillow, he is it bent. Imagine a log, because, I mean, he really has no neck. He just goes ears and tail. Well, I think most people who know me on Facebook know what my Chico looks like. And as my dad calls him, Pedro. My dad wants to call him Pedro so bad. But, yeah, I went over it. Yeah, me and my rambling. But this is everything I got. And I don't even remember where I started now because I just keep going off. None of my videos are scripted. I just go. It's like a river. Well, it's actually just like more like a storm because you never know where the water goes. I mean, you know, you never who comes, like she'll come down. She's inflecting up. She's up there spinning around on the chair. I got Hocus over there licking himself. But it's time I start putting this stuff away. I'll put Chewy. Chewy, wave bye-bye to everybody. Can't go. Yeah, there you go. Yeah. I'll do the good old British Queen wave. Goodbye, everybody. And thank you all for viewing and subscribing.